Hello everyone. Kyiv hit by kamikaze drones in renewed Russian attacks. Ukrainian officials say the capital was struck 4 times in early morning strikes using Iranian-made drones. Russian forces attacked Ukraine's capital on Monday for the second time in a week, as kamikaze drones rained down on Kyiv, sending residents rushing to shelters. As every day, I am here with the breaking news. Please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel. To convey better information to you, please subscribe to the channel for free and like and comment on the video. Now we can move on to the details. Kyiv's mayor Vitaly Klitschko wrote on Telegram messaging service that several blasts had rocked the central Shevchenkivsky district. Several residential buildings had been damaged, he said. Rescuers are on the site, Mr. Klitschko said. The drone's intended targets weren't immediately clear, but Russian strikes over the past week have hit infrastructure, including power facilities. Officials said the strikes damaged a residential building and the central train station. 4 strikes have been recorded in Kyiv. A residential building in the Shevchenko district was hit. Information about the victims is being clarified, military officials in the capital said. The head of the National Railways confirmed earlier attacks near the capital's central rail hub. The same district was hit by explosions a week ago, as Russia ordered the biggest aerial offensive against Ukrainian cities in retaliation for a blast on a bridge linking mainland Russia to Crimea, the peninsula Russia annexed from Ukraine in 2014. Russian and Ukrainian forces are also involved in heavy fighting around 2 towns in the Donbas region in the east, officials said. Andriy Yermak, head of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's staff, wrote on the Telegram that Russian forces struck Kyiv with Iranian Shahed drones. Russians think it will help them, Mr. Yermak said. Strikes on Kyiv had become a rarity after Russian forces failed to capture the capital at the beginning of the war. Last week's early morning strikes put Kyiv back on edge as the war nears 9 months. Monday's blasts seem to continue what many fear could become more common occurrences in urban centers. Russian President Vladimir Putin said last week's strikes were in retaliation for the bombing of the Kerch Bridge. Mr. Putin blames Ukraine for masterminding the blast, which suspended traffic over the crossing and curtailed Moscow's ability to use the bridge to supply Russian troops in the occupied regions of southern Ukraine. The strike on Kyiv comes as fighting has intensified in the eastern regions of Donetsk and Luhansk in recent days, as well as the continued Ukrainian counteroffensive in the south near Kherson and Zaporizhia. Fighting was particularly intense this weekend in Donetsk and Luhansk, which make up the industrial Donbas, and the Kherson province in the south. They constitute 3 of the 4 regions Russia said it had annexed last month after referendums. These votes have been dismissed by Kyiv and Western governments as illegal and coercive. Mr. Zelensky said in his Sunday evening address that there was heavy fighting around the cities of Bakhmut and Soledar in the Donetsk region. The key hotspots in Donbas are Soledar and Bakhmut, Mr. Zelensky said. Very heavy fighting is going on there. Bakhmut has been a target of Russian forces in their slow move through the region since taking the twin industrial towns of Lysychansk and Severodonetsk in June and July. Soledar is just north of Bakhmut. British military intelligence said Russia was facing more acute logistical problems in the south after the damage to the Kerch Bridge. Russia's defense ministry said on Sunday its forces had repelled efforts by Ukrainian troops to advance in the Donetsk, Kherson and Mykolaiv regions. Russia also said it was continuing airstrikes on military and energy targets in Ukraine. EU foreign ministers are expected to agree on Monday on a mission to train 15,000 Ukrainian troops and an extra €500 million, $487 million, in funding for arms for Kyiv. Meanwhile, Russia's invasion of Ukraine and the resulting economic fallout have thrown 4 million children into poverty across Eastern Europe and Central Asia, the UN Children's Agency said Monday. Children are bearing the heaviest burden of the economic crisis caused by the war in Ukraine, UNICEF said. The conflict and rising inflation have driven an additional 4 million children across Eastern Europe and Central Asia into poverty, a 19% increase since 2021, it said. UNICEF drew its conclusions from a study of data from 22 countries. EU ministers warn of Iran's sanctions over Ukraine war as Kyiv hit with suicide drones. Bloc's top envoy seeks concrete evidence of Iran's role. At least one killed as UAV swarm strikes Ukraine capital. Ukrainian military says it shot down 37 Iranian Shahed 136 drones. The European Union's foreign policy chief said Monday the bloc was looking for concrete evidence of Iranian involvement in Russia's invasion of Ukraine, as a number of foreign ministers called for sanctions on Tehran after Kyiv was hit by a wave of suicide drones. Explosive-laden suicide drones struck Ukraine's capital early Monday, the blasts echoing across Kyiv. Exactly how many drones were used in the attack wasn't immediately clear, but they appeared to include Iranian-made Shaheds. We will look for concrete evidence about the participation of Iran in the Ukraine war, said Josep Borrell as he arrived for a meeting of EU foreign ministers in Luxembourg, according to the Reuters news agency. Denmark's foreign minister Jeppe Kofod said that a strong response with concrete steps was required after Kyiv was apparently hit with the Iran-made drones. What we can see now. Iranian drones are used apparently to attack in the middle of Kyiv. This is an atrocity, Kofod said. Luxembourg's foreign minister Jean Asselborn said should Iran's role in Russia's war on Ukraine be proven, then it will be no longer about some individuals to be sanctioned. While there is not expected to be immediate sanctions over Tehran's supply of drones to Moscow, EU ministers are due to take action against Iran over its crackdown on the protests over the death of 22-year-old Mahsa Amini following her arrest for allegedly violating Iran's strict dress code for women. Some 15 officials and entities, including the head of Iran's morality police, are expected to be added to an assets freeze and visa ban blacklist, EU diplomats said. The EU, which is currently mediating stalled efforts to revive the 2015 nuclear deal with Iran, has lagged behind Washington on imposing sanctions on Tehran. Ukraine said on Monday that Russia had attacked Kyiv with a swarm of kamikaze drones, in what the president's office said was an act of desperation nearly 8 months into Russia's invasion. The Ukrainian military said Iran-made drones and missiles were targeting towns and cities across the country. It estimated that Russian forces had fired 2 missiles and 26 airstrikes, and carried out more than 80 rocket attacks. In the past 13 hours, the Ukrainian military shot down 37 Iranian Shahed 136 drones and 3 cruise missiles launched by Russian terrorists, the defense ministry said. The claim could not be independently verified. A report by a U.S. think tank last week suggested that personnel affiliated with Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps may be training Russian troops on the use of the Shahed 136 drones. The report by the Institute for the Study of War cited the Ukrainian Resistance Center, which said the training was held in Russian-occupied areas of Ukraine, but provided no further evidence for the claim. According to a U.S. media report on Sunday, Iran is planning to ship further missiles and drones to boost Russia's dwindling supplies. Guys, thanks for watching. See you the next video.